Melissa?
Yeah. Oh,
Oh.
that's why. Sorry. I usually cover the little camera
Oh.
because my husband's like, you never know who's watching. So he
The
freaked me out,
FBI.
so I put a piece of tape on it.
The FBI's watching.
Yeah.
Joabe!
Hey guys.
Hello everyone.
What up,
Hey.
Jess? What's the temperature by you guys?
It's kind of warm today here.
It's going to be hot all week. 85, I heard, is the high.
That sounds so nice.
We're missing
It's 40 right now, and it's supposed to get into the 20s tonight.
So. Oh, I feel bad for you.
Yeah, this
and it's raining. That makes it more miserable.
It's like 2 degrees here.
Oh, it's awful.
2 degrees?
Yeah, it's 2 degrees out.
Oh my goodness.
I'm hoping Elise joins us.
I haven't heard from her all day, so.
Yeah, she didn't log today at all, right? And the app.
Should we wait for a minute? You guys want to wait a minute?
I think
Yeah,
we can
maybe.
give it a minute. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
It's 10 degrees in Chicago right now.
I have to say I'm a little jealous that you have seasons, because down here in Southern California, we don't have that.
I know. We have family in Ventura County.
Yeah. Warm.
Yeah, tomorrow is supposed to be a high of 21, so that's cool.
Good.
Like summer.
That's crazy.
That's shorts weather around here.
Right?
My goodness.
I work with a guy from, he grew up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and he wore shorts and a polo shirt to work the other day. The high was 30. And
Wow.
we're like, Jack, you going golfing tonight? And he's like, I try to dress up for work, and everybody makes fun of me because I throw on a polo shirt. I'm never dressing up again. He talks like that, too. That's how people from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan talk.
I thought you were just doing an accent for fun, so.
No, that's really how he talks.
Kevin, this conversation, are you recording already or not yet?
Oh yeah, the teacher's gonna see this.
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna tell her to fast. I'm gonna tell her to fast forward a couple minutes.
Oh no!
Hopefully she doesn't.
Record.
So let's go ahead and get started, and then we can, if Elise join us, she can do her speech at the end, and that way give her some time, and that way we're not getting the video too long.
Yeah,
that may lead us to lose some point.
We're not going to lose points, man. The teacher loves us.
I know, but he doesn't want to see another hour of video.
All right, I'm going to start the stopwatch. So our Google Hangout group discussion. Please discuss with your group members situations in which you have employed the various sources of power and influence referenced by the authors of the book, and then work to tie those experiences to your role as a leader or as a follower. So the different sources of power, which was found on page 137 through 141, around there, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
So who wants to start? Now, my problem is I'll never be management at my company. That's just how the company works. But I know you all work for Starbucks, and I know there's different forms of management. So whoever wants to start out.
Well, I can start, I guess. So I actually am in kind of a funny position at Starbucks because I was a shift supervisor for a while. I was a shift supervisor for about a year, and then I stepped down from being a shift supervisor. So and now I'm just a barista. So I have kind of an interesting perspective where I know all of the stuff that goes on and all of the logistics of stuff that has to happen, but I'm not responsible for making that happen. So, so I kind of honed in kind of on the information power, because I know I've also been there for this is my 5th year at Starbucks, so I know pretty much everything that has to happen for the store to be run. And sometimes my shifts are like, hey, I'm really busy, I can't get to whatever normal task that's normally a shift supervisor task, and they're like, can you do this? And I'm like, yeah. So kind of knowing all of the ins and outs and how we order and where everything goes is kind of where my area of expertise comes in. And then also, like, with being a partner there so long, I made it one of my goals one year was just to be as fast on bar as I could possibly be. And so I get to now train everyone else to be on bar. So sharing that information is, well, it's what I like to do. I like to teach there. So, and then it also creates a more effective team where we can all share that information and organize the store better because we all know what has to happen too. So kind of that's where I kind of honed in on the information power.
You know what's funny, as an outsider going to Starbucks, it just looks like everyone's making coffee at the same time. It's like mass chaos in that place. Of course, whenever I go, it's really like prime time.
And we're all yelling at each other like, I need grande hot cups.
I'm waiting for John Taffer to walk in. Shut it down!
Right?
Joe Abe, what about you?
For me, in regards to Chapter 5, I source of powers, I will talk about a little bit here in regards to reward power, right? It talks about the ability to deliver something that's valued to people, right, to others, and from the rewarding perspective, which can lead to monetary value and benefits and different things, right? So I will refer to the organization wise as a corporation, right? You guys, Melissa and Jess, you aware the recently broadly communication from the company CEO that makes several investments to the business, right? Around $120 million in investments to people, to partners, right? To employees. When it comes to increasing wage and several increase in benefits, right? So this is the kind of thing that for the rewarding perspective, right? As an organization wise, is a great thing, right? So working for an organization that has that power to say, hey, I'm gonna take some profits, some money that that we're making, and we'll invest in its people.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll stick with that. And then when it comes to the people perspective, right? The example of you working as a group, and then you accomplish a project, and then you have the rewarding afterwards. So I'll speak to particularly here example that happened this week. Right, we have we have to do be in a manufacturing environment. We have a lot of machines on the floor, people working around machines, right? So noisy environment. So by law, by safety perspective, by OSHA, we have to do a hearing conservation program. So with that, this week we have that program. So I have to hire a third-party company that they come on site with a truck and then do a hearing test to everyone. So it was a lot of work around that to have a facility that with close to 400 people, to get everyone across 3 shifts. Is a 24/7 operation. So for me, it was busy. For a lot of leaders that was involved, busy week, coming to work like 4 or 5 in the morning. and then doing like 12, 13-hour shift. So at the end of the day today, I took all the leadership and say, hey guys, we successfully complete that. Great job to everyone. Let's everyone go out lunch. So I took everyone to a nice restaurant. We have a good meal to celebrate success. So this is a rewarding power example in small scale, unit wise. We went to the Kingfish, is a fish restaurant here, local in South California. I love them because I'm big oyster fan. And so I took the team there. We have about 12 leaders, managers, and directors. So we went over there, and then we have a good meal, and then just back to work and just celebrating success. So
you're all about power.
Yeah, I strongly believe that when it comes to reward, you make things better, right? You have more engagement, you have more commitment from people. It supports from the business perspective. It supports for in regards to turnover rate, right? Retention. So that's a big scale when you talk about reward.
Very good. Melissa?
Yeah, so I did something pretty interesting and fun. I flew up north to meet a White House interpreter on Sunday. She was incredible, and actually, to me, after reading the chapter, exhibited expert power because she is highly credentialed in her degree and her line of work, clearly to be in the White House. She also has worked in there was like a laundry list really of places that she's interpreted for. She also works, she's a freelance interpreter for an agency and actually works more in hospitals around the DC area. But she works one day for sure in the White House every single week.
Wow.
And I got to talk to her one-on-one, which is rare to be able to do that because she's basically a celebrity. I was shocked she was even there because she's actually born and raised in my hometown in Northern California.
Who is she an interpreter for?
She's an ASL English interpreter, which essentially that's what I'm doing.
Okay.
Just not on that big of scale. So,
wow.
Yeah, she was very influential to me. What's that?
Melissa?
Sorry, what?
Are you doing ESL program?
I've gone through an ASL English interpreting program. I used to work for a JC in Sacramento, but then I moved down to Southern California, and Starbucks has kind of been my number one because I want to finish school. But there is a deaf school in Riverside that I might start working at. It just kind of depends on my schedule, like if it works out or not. But yeah, she was definitely expert power because I listened to every word as if it were honey. Like I was just taking it all in. So wow. I thought that was really interesting.
So how did you get in touch with her to meet with her? Or
Yeah, so her family, she's actually adopted, but her family contacted somebody in our community and said, hey, she's coming to visit family in January. Did you want her to do a presentation? And of course we said yes.
Right.
And so I found out about that in October, and I literally booked my flight. I didn't even ask my supervisor if I could have it off. I just said, I'm going. I have to deal with this. Because it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, really. Yeah. But she's worked for 2 administrations now. So she did a tiny bit of the end of Bush's administration, all of Obama's, and now she's doing Trump's.
Wow.
So she's had like 20 years of experience, which is like amazing. But
wow.
Yeah. So
sounds like an expert to me.
Yeah, definitely. She was so humble. She wouldn't even tell me her highest level of certification. So that made me pay attention even more because she obviously is good at what she does, but she doesn't brag about it. So
No, not at all.
yeah, really nice lady.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we're 60 minutes mark. Kevin,
So we have to talk about the cultural aspect as well in chapter 10.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me
Oh yeah, let's get the MC in there.
we have, so my company, we employ a lot of Ivy League grad supervisors who come out to the warehouse just to see how they can do in upper management. And then we have managers, supervisors that have been with the company. We call them lifers like me, that have been with the company 20 plus years. So the ones that have been there for 20 plus years, they're more reward and expert power, where if we need something done, or if me as a warehouse worker needs something, those are the people that we go to because they know everybody in upper management. And more of these Ivy League grads that are coming in are more coercive power. So it's more good cop, bad cop. And what tends to happen is these kids that are coming in off the street that are being hired, that have only worked at the company in the office for a year, they're really good with spreadsheets, but sometimes they don't know what we do in order to fulfill our job duties. So it tends to be more, they like to look at numbers and crunch numbers. And then they come to us, and it just takes away from the human element of talking to us, sitting us down and explaining. So sometimes they're a little too focused on numbers instead of everything else that we do. And unfortunately, my job sometimes is real physical, and just sometimes you have to sorry, Elise sent us a message. She said her laptop keeps crashing.
Yeah, I saw that too.
So
she won't be joining. Anyway, keep going.
Is that what she said? All right.
Yeah, she can't.
Yeah, those are kind of the two powers that we deal with, and then there's always legitimate powers. The president of the company will walk out, and obviously when the president of the company walks out on the floor, everyone knows where they're at. So, but we deal with all sorts of powers at our company.
Which the book did say you're supposed to have a balance of these powers.
There's a balance. There's a balance. Sometimes it's for the negative. Well, here, I'll give you a quick example. So I had an oil change scheduled, and I'm one of those guys. I've been at the company for 12 years. I'm there on time, if not early, every day. I'm back from lunch on time. We leave on time. You know, a lot of the guys and girls that I work with, that's kind of how we roll. I asked one of the newer supervisors, who was a Princeton grad, if I could leave 10 minutes early. I had an oil change. And he looked at me, he goes, well, couldn't you schedule it for a different time? And I was like, look, dude, all right, fine. So I went to lunch and rescheduled the oil change. I said, look, I might be a little late for the oil change. I apologize, but I can't leave early. No problem. The next day, I'm working in a different part of the warehouse. They let a bunch of people out 10 minutes early, and they never told me about it. So I went back to him, the same guy, on Wednesday, and I said, you let people go home 10 minutes early? And he just kind of stared at me with a blank look, and he's like, yeah, didn't anybody tell you? I was like, no one told me. So here I was asking to just, for a favor, leaving 10 minutes early. The next day, everyone got let out 10 minutes early, except for me. And then I had to encounter them the next day, and it wasn't really pleasant. So that's some of the stuff that I deal with on a daily basis. It's fun sometimes.
Yeah.
But they pay for my tuition.
That's the price to be a 12 years employee and a subject matter expert. So
he's no longer in our department, which is so. All right, let's get to chapter 10.
Yeah, let's do a quick speech on
Yeah.
that.
So discuss ways in which cultural difference may influence the way that we interact with leaders and employ power. Who wants to take the lead on this one?
I can jump in first. I will defer to page 313 when it talks about benefit of diversity. Right? Culture and diversity is for me personally, I see as a very sensitive topic and critical to any organization. Right? If you want to be a inclusive organization, you need to be open to diversity, right? Then you need to promote that. So Starbucks does a great job on that and then promoting diversity and inclusion, right? We have several programs to support that inclusion and diversity. And you see different buckets here on the page 313 when you talk about cost of saving, that's is directly related to turnover rates that decrease that. When it comes from resource acquisition, keeping gaining market share, but most importantly, when it comes to better decision making, when you have a diverse group, right, you have different perspective, which makes better to come up with the decision making. When it comes to innovation, right, and then lastly, performance wise, right. So companies with higher diversity employees will perform better. So me particular being a diversity a employee, right, I'm from different nationality, and then definitely something that I take in consideration when I'm hiring people, for example, right? And then if I have a candidate that have, pretty much, of course, you have to take consideration mainly skill sets, right? Background and experience and education. But also I look at the diversity perspective. This is a candidate that, is a minority, is a female, is an African American. This is different things. So that, when I'm doing my selection process, I take all these aspects into consideration before I make a decision, before I have a decision making.
Jess.
Well, I work in a store where we have 4 different religions represented, and then we also have several different subcultures within our store. We have about 25 employees there, so it's a neat thing for me to see. But I think one of the biggest threats to a cohesive, diverse group is whenever the manager doesn't take time to learn the individuals, and then doesn't take time to realize that within those different cultures, there are different values and there are different ways of doing things, and sometimes different motivations and stuff like that. And I found that because I've had 3 different managers, one of them is the one I have right now is really good at learning people and knowing their own culture and knowing how to interact and to lead those people. And then the manager I had 2 managers ago was not very good at that. And she kind of was like, well, you should all be able to do the exact same thing or have the exact same motivation or timing, but she didn't take time to learn the individuals and some of their values that came from their cultures. And so because of that, it was difficult for me because I also work in a church, and so I have to be off every Sunday because that's when I'm also working. And so she was like, no, I need you to work on Sundays. And I was like, no, I can't do that. So that took a while of us discussing that and talking about it and saying, hey, no, this is it's not just because I work there. It's also, that's my religious freedom too. So it took a while, and she eventually was like, okay, that's fine. You can have off Sundays. And so it was an interesting dynamic, but my new manager is great, and she's really taken time to get with each of us individually and talk about our cultures. And then get to know how and why we operate the way we do. So I think the biggest threat, though, is whenever they don't take that time to learn how to lead effectively with different cultures in a group.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's key point. Yep.
Melissa?
I don't think I could have said it better myself. I had issues with a manager before, and honestly, they touch the line of discriminatory, violations when they don't allow you to kind of practice things in your own culture,
right. Being
a subculture or part of a bigger culture. So I'm glad the manager you have now recognizes it, but not everyone does.
Right.
So it's a good point.
One thing my company does well is it's a privately held company by a family, so there is a lot of diversity where I work, a big gay, lesbian population, on top of people that are actually disabled. I work with a guy who has spina bifida, and he likes to go by the name of Wheels because he's in a wheelchair.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, he works his butt off 10 times more than some of the other people. But yeah, we very diverse group of people that I work with, which it tends to strengthen bonds within departments. I got to talking to one of the guys who is Muslim, and we find out that Santa visits their house as well. They don't really discriminate against Santa. He's like, yeah, man. He's like, we celebrate Christmas just like Christians. I'm like, really? I'm like, all right, cool. So yeah, you kind of become more connected to those people once you come out in the open and realize that, you might be a little bit different, but on the inside, we're kind of all the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
cool.
That's true.
Yeah, we're at the 23-minute mark here.
Okay.
Probably gonna cut it off soon.
We did good.
Yeah.
Joey, what do you got for time? Because I started mine when we actually started talking.
Yeah, start counting when you start recording, right? So we're about 28 minutes mark, but content-wise, you have about that. You're right. We have about 23.
I told you guys I feel bad. I sit there and stare at my face on the screen while I'm sending out the link and waiting for everybody to join.
But no, great job, everyone, again.
Yes. Good job, everybody.
For the record, Elise did try to be here.
She did. Her computer kept crashing, I guess, trying to open Google Hangouts.
Yeah. I don't think she can do that on her phone, can she?
I've never tried, so I don't know.
I don't think
so. Me neither.
All right.
But anyway, it was, we had a great conversation, great topics, outstanding insights from everyone. Great job, and I'm confident we'll get another 100%.
Yep. Let's do it again next week, same time.
Sounds good.
I'm sure we'll talk on Google Hangouts.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Have a good night, guys. And go
you all
Eagles.
Have a night and a great weekend.
Yes.
I really don't care.
Jess, are you a Pats fan, or do you just not care?
No, I genuinely don't care.
Okay.
I will go to the party just for the food. So.
Bears.
Same here. We don't have Super Bowl in Brazil, so for me, I like to. I just do barbecue. I do barbecue here in the house, and I have friends over, but I don't care about the game. I just want to cook and then grill.
Robbie knows how to do it.
And money too.
All right. On that note, good night, guys.
Bye.
All right. Good night, guys. Have a great weekend, and talk to you next week.
You too.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Bye, guys.